Welcome back to the Obelisk, where with open minds we reassess the ancient world to understand those who came before us. Tonight we follow a man, not a villain, not a killer, just a man who had everything. Fine clothes, a full table, locked gates, and outside that gate, a poor soul named Lazarus. One is buried in linen and the other is carried away by angels. But the real story doesn't begin until they're both dead. This is not about wealth, this is not about fire, this is about blindness and what Jesus really meant when he spoke of hell. This is the parable of the Rich Man and Lazarus, and it's more terrifying than brimstone ever was. Sorry to interrupt your video, this is the part of the video where I ask you to subscribe. Subscribe. Thanks. Back to the video. The parable itself. There was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. At his gate laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs at one point came and licked at his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died, and was buried. In Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away. With Lazarus by his side, he called to him, "Father Abraham, have pity on me, and send Lazarus to dip the tips of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire." But Abraham replied, "Son, remember that in your lifetime you received good things, whilst Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you a great chasm has been set in place, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, and nor can anyone cross over from there to us." He answered, "Then I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my family, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so that they will not also come to this place of torment." Abraham replied, "They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them." "No, Father Abraham," he said, "but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent." He said to them, "If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, then they will not be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead." Not hell, but justice. The rich man and Lazarus is not what you think. This is where most people get it wrong. This isn't Dante, not Inferno, no demons, no eternal torture chamber. Jesus doesn't use the word hell here. He uses Hades, a Greek term for the realm of the dead, a shadowy place of silence and waiting, not fire and brimstone. And elsewhere, when Jesus does talk about hell, he says Gehenna, a real place, a cursed valley just outside of Jerusalem, a valley soaked in the blood of child sacrifice. Later, it became a trash heap, always burning away, smouldering. Not a metaphor for eternal torment, but a symbol of judgment, a warning about what happens when society becomes corrupt. It rots from the inside out. I do have a full video on hell, just linked up there if you want to have a little look at that. So, when we look at what Jesus actually says and who he actually says it to, it clears up the picture. His audience knew what Gehenna was. They had no concept of our modern hellfire mythologies. Their idea of Hades wasn't punishment, it was shadow. So, when we drag our mindset, our post-medieval 4th century doctrine filter into Jesus' parables, we distort them. We make Jesus say what we want him to say. We take Orthodoxy's later invention of hell and project it backwards into his words. It doesn't bring clarity, it distorts, it doesn't reveal truth, it rewrites it. Because Jesus wasn't giving us a guided tour of the afterlife, he was delivering a rebuke to the powerful. And for his earliest followers, poor fishermen, labourers, women, the excluded, this story wasn't about the next world, it was about this one. The fire, it's not about punishment in the way we think, it's about moral inversion. A reckoning, it's what happens when those who feast forget the hungry at their gates. when those with voices ignore the ones who groan unheard. And the rich man, he hasn't changed, not even in death. He doesn't repent, he doesn't apologise, he doesn't ask to leave. He just wants Lazarus to serve him, to ease his suffering, to go serve his brothers. He still believes the system works in his favour, even now. He doesn't say, but Jesus is clear. The chasm is fixed, the gap between comfort and compassion has become a canyon. The first will be last, the last will be lifted. And if we won't listen to the cries of the poor, or to the prophets, or even to the voice of the Son, not even someone rising from the dead will change our minds. The real message, blindness and the chasm. This isn't about wealth, it's about blindness. The rich man knew Lazarus' name. That means he saw him and actively ignored him. Jesus doesn't condemn him for feasting, he condemns him for his silence, for the neglect, for not opening the gate. The chasm in the afterlife is just a reflection of the one he built in life. Even Abraham refuses to send a sign to his brothers. They have Moses and the prophets, he says. They won't believe even if someone rises from the dead. It's not about proof, it's about will. Truth was always there, he just didn't look. This parable isn't about flames, it's about consequences. Not for what we do, but for what we fail to do. Jesus paints hell not as a furnace, but as a mirror, where we finally see what we refused to see all along. So, how many gates have we closed? How many names have we heard and forgotten? Hell, according to Jesus, isn't about fire, it's about the chasm we create between ourselves and those we fail to love. Let me know in the comments what truths have been too comfortable to face. Like, subscribe, and tear down your gate. Sources below, read them not with fear, but with courage. Until next time, stay curious and don't be afraid of the light. Thanks for watching.